Denver Public Schools gets another few weeks of secrecy as it tries to keep its discussions about armed officers in schools outside the public view. If you like small town drama, we got a load of it tonight. One town considers replacing the most dysfunctional council in Colorado, and another votes on a sneaky way to keep Topgolf out of town.
You can't ban Topgolf from coming.
Absolutely not.
But you can ban the nets.
Correct.
Your next question about why water users are still being hit with a drought surcharge if we're not in a drought. And one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Denver gets an affordable place for people to play and perform. Tonight on Next.
Denver Public Schools is getting more time to keep a recording from the public. It shows the school board and the superintendent privately debating whether armed officers belong in schools. And it may also reveal if Denver's mayor really threatened to do it himself if they did not. A judge today agreed to give DPS until July 11th to release the recording of the executive session from the day after the East High shooting. The court ruled that that meeting broke open meetings law, but the district is appealing. 9 News is part of a group of media outlets suing for your right to see the meeting. Today in court, the district asked for a permanent pause on the recording's release while it appeals. The judge denied that, but gave them 2 more weeks until July 11th. This is the week that we will see the final version of Denver's new school safety plan. The last draft gave the school board the power to decide on whether armed officers should be in schools. The board then, in a split vote, decided to allow SROs. On Friday, we'll see the finalized plan, including whether it'll be up to individual schools on whether they install new weapons detection systems. There is no expectation that this school safety plan is going to change the controversial discipline matrix. That's the set of rules that allows Denver students charged with violent crimes, including attempted murder, to come back to class. 2 small towns in northern Colorado are holding elections today. Typically would not make the evening news, but both these towns have some bonker stuff going on. So next is bringing you live team coverage as Dacono decides and Timnath tallies. Our Mark Salinger is back from Timnath, where they're voting on a new towering addition to town. But first to Cole Sullivan up in Dacono, where saying that the city council there fights like children, Cole, would be an insult to kids. They've got a recall for 2 town leaders.
And Kyle, I don't want to say this is the most important election I've ever covered, but it matters here in Dacono, where nearly 900 people have already voted. Polls still have another hour to go before they close. One town leader here tells me that she's never seen a recall election ever like this before. So here's how we got here. This is the town that you may remember voted to fire the city manager the same day they gave him an award for his years of service to the city. It was a surprise move, and that led to allegations of violations of rules that prohibit elected officials from making decisions behind closed doors. Then we had a CBI investigation and the recall motion and eventually accepted recall of 2 of the city council members. But the drama wasn't over there. Then 4 city council members staged a walkout in the middle of a city council meeting to stop moving forward on buying election equipment and buying ballots to hold the recall election, to recall 2 of those city council members. But that election is still happening. In a room behind me here, there are a number of election judges in there counting votes as we speak. It's a very small room, a little bit sweaty, as Dacono tells us a little bit about democracy tonight. Kyle?
A sweaty night as Dacono decides. Cole Sullivan, thank you. Now to Timnath, where a group is fighting a new Topgolf facility. You can't ban a business by name, so they got creative. Here's Mark Salinger.
I love seeing blue skies and birds.
In the town of Timnath, clear skies are on the ballot.
No bright lights, no nets. I'm okay with that.
When Topgolf announced plans to build a driving range here in northern Colorado, Bill Jenkins had to get creative to try and keep them out.
So you can't ban Topgolf from coming.
Absolutely not.
But you can ban the nets.
Correct.
Which brings us to today, Election Day, in the town of 10,000. People can't vote on whether to allow a private business to build on the vacant piece of land. So instead, Bill's group led a push to get a ballot initiative banning nets and fences taller than 65 feet. The nets at the Topgolf in Thornton are way taller than that. If voters pass it, the law would likely stop Topgolf, and pretty much only Topgolf, from being able to open in Timnath.
There aren't a whole lot of companies or businesses that this would impact.
Probably not. Probably not.
Bill points to environmental concerns of birds and bats getting trapped in the tall nets of the driving range. He says bald eagles and blue herons have nests nearby along the Poudre River.
We're interested in thoughtful growth. We're not anti-growth.
I just thought it'd be a great addition to our community to have something that people could actually go do. It was fun.
Election Day 2023. Fun family-friendly activity versus environmental death trap.
They got a lot of misconceptions about what it is.
Not only would Topgolf be the tallest building in Timnath, it would be the tallest structure north of the Topgolf facility in Thornton, probably all the way to the Canadian border.
So we fact-checked that. If you shoot up straight from Timnath all the way north, that statement is indeed true. There would be nothing taller between the Topgolf in Timnath and the Canadian border. In fact, the 175-foot tall poles, a quick Google search shows that that would be taller than any building in the entire state of Wyoming. Now, let's get a little serious here. Colorado Parks and Wildlife released a report on the environmental impact of the Topgolf in Timnath, concluded that CPW was, quote, very concerned that this project may negatively impact a variety of species in the area, Kyle.
Oh yeah, you imagine they're probably picking birds out of those nets all the time.
Unfortunately, yeah.
This is kind of ingenious or sneaky, depending on where you're coming from. If it works here, you got to think other towns might try this.
So they're already seeing this as a model for any other towns that perhaps want to ban Topgolf from coming in here to any other town. They said that they were working with a lawyer in Denver who they said has dealt with Topgolf before, knew the ins and outs of how to get this from coming to Timnath.
All right.
Votes are coming in at 7.
Timnath tallies, and Mark Salinger's on it. Thank you. U.S. Supreme Court today threw out a stalking case against a man from Colorado, and this could impact similar cases around the country. 7-2 ruling in favor of a guy named Billy Counterman. He sent years' worth of Facebook messages to a woman, some saying that she should die. Colorado's court system said they constituted a threat. Counterman said it was free speech. The Supreme Court agreed with him and said the prosecutors had to prove that he had some understanding that his statements were threatening. No Labels is Colorado's latest third party. They will be on the ballot for the 2024 presidential election if they select a candidate. Last night here, No Labels co-founders struggled to explain their own polling showing that their candidate would just help elect Donald Trump, and she defended their choice to label Trump as a problem solver in 2016. So, step back. Who is No Labels? Well, that's a good question. They've got a lot of money, but they won't say from whom. The Lever, which is a progressive news outlet founded by Colorado's David Sirota, calls No Labels a dark money front for corporate interests. Is that true?
Absolutely not. In fact, we don't take any corporate money. Any organization like ours, we're a 501c4, just like the League of Conservation Voters. We do not disclose donors, but you need to judge us on what we're doing, not the intentions of any given donor.
So, as you point out, you're not taking money from businesses, from corporations, but the question is whether essentially you're a front for the people who run those corporations, the people behind them who can give the money. Why not tell folks who your funders are?
Because it opens people up to incredible scrutiny, pressure, ridiculousness, to be quite honest. Judge us by what we are doing. Judge us by what we say. And what we are doing is giving voice to the common sense majority.
I asked No Labels co-founder Holly Page about some of what they have said and done, and you can see that full conversation on the next YouTube channel. Colorado's reservoirs are filling. Our water supply is looking good. We have the least drought conditions in a long time. That has next viewers asking why you're still being charged drought fees on your water bills. Get ready for another pink sunset and a less than beautiful explanation. Growing wildfire in western Colorado.
I want everybody to see what I do. Yeah, because at home nobody sees it.
It's art. It's often hidden just because it can be expensive to find a place in town where it can be seen. Until now. That's next. Tomorrow's National Bike to Work Day, which typically just requires you to have a bike and the willpower to get on it. But this year, it will also involve action by the Army Corps of Engineers. Portions of the Cherry Creek bike trail are flooded. You can see it there along Spear. Now, this is supposed to happen because the bike trail is part of the local flood infrastructure. But the Army Corps of Engineers is going to lower the water level for a day so that people can bike on the path. Denver Parks and Rec tells us the federal government has approved lowering water releases from Cherry Creek Dam through tomorrow afternoon.
Tonight's next question comes from Deborah, who noticed a confusing new charge on her latest Aurora water bill.
And it says that due to low snowpack that's in the mountains and that fact that the reservoirs are all low, that they're going to start adding a $1.95 surcharge. And it's not about the money. I can afford the $4.90. It's about why the reservoirs aren't low.
That is a timely question, Deborah, and you might not have that extra drought surcharge for long. Aurora City Council could vote to get rid of it as soon as this week. So their Stage 1 drought restrictions went into effect in May. Those restrictions put the surcharge on your bill, and they restrict outdoor water use. The restrictions were approved in March based on reservoir levels and predictions at the time. Aurora Water acknowledges they've gotten more rain than anticipated. Reservoirs are currently 80% full. So they're asking City Council to suspend the restrictions starting June 29th. The drought surcharge would be dropped on future bills. Outdoor watering restrictions would be relaxed. Now, people who get their water from Denver Water, so that's folks in the city and a lot of the suburbs, they're not under any such restrictions or any extra surcharges than typical watering guidelines. Denver Water did not ask for additional restrictions like Aurora Water did back in March because their local reservoir storage was above average at that time. We continue to watch a fast-moving wildfire burning in western Colorado, which has not seen the rain that we've seen on this side of the divide. The Spring Creek fire is burning about 5 miles southwest of Parachute near I-70. Started over the weekend, quickly bounced up to more than 3,000 acres yesterday. There are red flag warnings out there as well. No evacuations at this point, but 2 areas close to the fire, Spring Creek Road and High Mesa Road, are only open to locals. The smoke from Spring Creek has been visible here in Denver today. It's heaviest along I-70 between Parachute and DeBeck. Bringing Danielle Grant and made for that beautiful pink sunset last night. But of course, people saw that and they're just like, oh no.
Here we go again.
That means trouble.
Yep.
If we've got one fire out west, we're going to have more.
Yep, absolutely. And unfortunately, Mother Nature bringing us the same conditions that we saw the past couple of days, tomorrow and again on Thursday, too, especially out to the west. But it's more long term because the past almost 2 months, we have seen virtually no rain across the western slope. I want to show you this really interesting graphic. I crunched some numbers for you. Look at this. Denver, since May 1st, almost 11 inches of water. You hop over the Rockies out toward Grand Junction, less than half of an inch. It is so dry out there. Hence the reason that we're seeing these fires pop up and then adding insult to injury. Mother Nature ushering incredibly strong winds, 50+ mile-per-hour gusts. And we're going to be looking at this red flag warning in place till 9 p.m. tonight. And then yet again, it goes into effect 11 to 8 tomorrow. Humidity values up a little bit, but still we're contending with 30 to 40 mile-per-hour wind gusts this evening. Of course, we were looking at the smoke here for the metro area last night, probably again this evening, but the worst of it out to the west where they still have that air quality alert. Back here in Denver, 92 degrees. It was a scorcher, our warmest day so far of the year, our first 90-degree day of the year. We were in the 90s off to the eastern plains, 100. You win, Pueblo, and up to the high country, low 80s. Out to the northeastern plains, a lot going on this afternoon across the state. We have severe thunderstorm watches in place, a warning near Ray as that cell tracks into parts of Nebraska and Kansas. Everything zipping out over the course of the next couple of hours, and then early tomorrow morning we'll be back in business with some sunshine. Again, incredibly dry conditions. Out to the west, we stay dry here in Denver, possibly 1 or 2 severe cells just across our northern border tomorrow afternoon. Here in Denver, loads of sunshine, just a couple of degrees cooler than where we were at today. Still scorching hot in southeastern Colorado and unfortunately out to the west. Better chance for storms Thursday and Friday here in Denver, and right now Mother Nature could bring a few more storms to the forecast on the 4th.
We just want everyone to feel that this is their space.
A new project in Rhino is trying to make the spotlight an affordable place for more artists to shine. Next. Anyone can make art, right? Just try to exhibit what you've made. Art isn't so affordable anymore. Our Jaleesa Irizarry shows us new projects in Rhino, looking to change that.
If there is one constant in Denver, it's change. So much of Rhino is newly constructed. Romelia Carrillo,
I live in Globeville.
has witnessed it for a while.
49 years, and I used to volunteer in the neighborhood.
Carrillo was an art teacher for community centers. Today, she's an artist that recently got an opportunity to display her work at Alto Gallery, a 2-year-old addition to the Rhino Art Park. Private rooms inside the facility, ran by Redline, offer artists an affordable studio. And just next door, for a small cost, marginalized performing artists will be able to dream big.
So I am standing in the middle of our new flex-use performing art space.
Charity Von Guinness is the executive director of the Rhino Art District. The performing art space was created to make sure underrepresented communities have a place to call home.
There's a lot of stories that have not been told in many of these marginalized communities, and we want this to be a platform for those stories to really come to life and to be exemplified. And I think this is really meant to be used as a subsidized, highly discounted performing art space. So whether it's 5 Points, Globeville, Elyria, Swansea, or Cole, we want to be stewarding these incredibly important histories and making sure these communities feel welcome and seen and represented.
Change is everywhere, but through art, preservation is always possible.
When I had this opportunity, I was so happy. It means a lot to me.
Rhino Art District will begin accepting applications for those interested in using the performing arts venue at the end of July. This venue was the final phase of Rhino's construction within the park. There has been a lot of work done over there, Kyle. That includes a promenade that connects Rhino to the Globeville and Elyria Swansea neighborhoods.
A physical manifestation of kind of the connections that are always trying to be made between folks who have lived in the neighborhood for a long time, other folks who are coming in, which is creating some tension.
It is creating some tension. You know, I did ask a little bit about the gentrification going on in that area, and if it's incredibly important to make sure that these voices and these artists are still present as these developments happen. And they said it's not only important, but it is critical. They are not blind to what's happening over in that neighborhood.
All right, Julie Sarazeri, thank you so much. A natural wonder and your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a simple tribute to our state flag. Scott spotted this in a log pile in Fairplay. Check that out. He says he's pretty sure that it's split naturally that way, the grain in the wood. Colorado Tourism Office would have paid money for that, Scott. You should probably try to sell it to him. That's gorgeous. You see something that screams Colorado? Email it to next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext. Chuck writes in tonight about our small town election coverage. He says, who came up with Dacono decides Timnath tallies? Well, Chuck, if we told you here on the TV, then our bosses would know who to blame. And I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to say it was a group project. As for our fact check of the anti-Topgolf guy in Timnath claiming this Topgolf would be the tallest structure between Timnath and the Canadian border, he says no, the Capitol building in Bismarck, North Dakota would be taller. Mark, come on, think about it like this. All right, we looked at Timnath and we did like a straight drive off the tee up to Canada. You go through like Cheyenne and Wheatland, Wyoming. You go through Glendive, Montana. There's nothing taller there. Now listen, you want to hook it towards like North Dakota or something like that, you can hook it the other way and hit the Space Needle in Seattle. We're not going to play that game. See you next time.